Hi, welcome to episode 10. We're almost there. We're almost there. I hope you're enjoying this travel through Quebec. We are traveling through the Chemin. We are exploring the highways and byways of Quebec, in particular, Quebec history. My name is Lisa Elvin Steltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. I came upon this idea for this series. In my normal daily work as a genealogist, I'm always finding out about new places. I have to find out the history, where it's located, all of that. And it always ends up being that genealogy is all about location, 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 just like in real estate. And as I was doing, work on genealogy and figuring out these different towns, I'm doing a series called Les Filles du Roi, and I was exploring all these little towns. And I kind of put them on the map, and then I kind of saw, oh, they're all along this particular road. And the idea for this virtual trip came to me. Trust me, I'm taking the actual trip shortly. I don't know when, but I am going to do this in actuality and going to film it as well. So consider this my road trip itinerary. I definitely want to explore each and every one of these places. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I don't know how long my husband will permit me to stay in every single spot. I'll definitely let you know. With that being said, let's get started. Now, I want to make sure y'all know that any ideas or thoughts you have, please, you can comment below, or you can send me an email at lisa@haverootswilltravel.com. And I have a website, obviously, called haverootswilltravel.com, a Facebook page, and a Twitter account. So with that being said, let's get started. So the idea for doing the Chemin du Roi, as I've stated, came to me during, or as I'm filming Les Filles du Roi. And so I wanted to really encompass and really talk about the history, and if you're going to do genealogical research. So that's why this travel series is a little bit different than most, because it really focuses on history and understanding the lay of the land, so that you can get as much research and much information about your people as possible. Let's first talk about the road as it exists now. It is actually found as part of Route 138, which is part of the Quebec provincial highway system. And it's a very, very long road, the Route 138. It starts at Blanc-Sablon, which is in the northern part of Quebec, and it ends at Elgin, which sits on the New York-Quebec borders. It's a whopping 880 miles, 1,420 kilometers. We are not doing this entire road in this series. The part that we are going to be looking at is going to be the King's Road, which starts at Quebec City and ends in Lebantiti. Now, it originally ended in Montreal many, many years ago, when it was first built. But around 1910, Montreal decided, nah, you know what, we're done. We want a boulevard. So they kind of modernized things. So Gouin Boulevard in Montreal is that part of Le Chemin du Roi. If you continue taking it, it will actually be the Chemin du Roi. So when I do my trip, I'm actually going to go on Gouin Boulevard, find the exact spot, and then kind of work my way back. So the Chemin du Roi was actually commissioned by the Conseil Supérieur in 1706. By 1731, a mere 25 years later, in true government fashion, they said, okay, let's start the work. Now, it only took 6 years. And so by 1737, the surveyor of the land, whose name was, I love saying his name, Eustache Lanoriae de Beauclerc, was the man responsible for all this. And when it was completed, it was 7.4 meters wide, which is about 24 feet. And it was about 280 kilometers, 170 miles long. And it crossed, get this, 37 seigneuries. The thought is that if you have ancestors in Quebec, one of them lived probably in one of these 37 seigneuries. There were many seigneuries, but I suspect there were many. There are many ancestors that you probably don't even know, and that's part of why we're doing this. At the time, the Chemin was the longest road in existence north of Mexico. Now, there's something about this road that I actually think connects the people in a way that all roads do. Route 66 in the United States and the highway system that was developed in the 50s by Eisenhower. And then we also have our own Trans-Canada Highway. All of that connects people, makes the distances between them seem smaller and smaller, and it further develops that sense of connection that is so important for creating that bonding, that sense of family, if you will. And I really think that the Chemin du Roi did exactly that. So if, for example, you were living in Sainte-Anne-de-la-Parade and your people had moved to Three Rivers, Trois-Rivières, you could take a road, you could take a trip. It was still a long trip, but it was definitely doable. Whereas before, it would have been not unthinkable, but certainly something that you would have had to prepare in a different way for. So this is my reality principle slide, which means that even though we're taking 11 YouTube videos, and I will take at least a few days to do this road, it actually can be done in 2 hours and 20 minutes, or so says Google. So if you're not stopping, if you're just driving it, that's how long it really is in reality. Now, that being said, along the way, there's going to be Chemin du Roi sign, and Vieux Chemin. Different towns may have different little signages, which I fully intend to stop and take pictures along the way, much to my husband's chagrin. But absolutely want to document this, and this is what most people do as well. So it's a thing. It's a thing. So the first stop is Lanoriae, which is a town of about 5,000 people. So it's a little bit bigger than what we've seen. Looks beautiful. You can see it right there on that picture on the upper part, right by the St. Lawrence. I mean, you can't get much closer than that. I always like to look at the seigneury and the history of the seigneury, how it came to be. And it's actually, the name is actually, the original seigneur was a man named Charles Sylvestre, who obtained it in 1637, very old. Would have obtained it from probably 100 associates. And it was called at the time Agotonda. Obviously a Native American word, I'm assuming. Now, by 1672, Charles's son-in-law, get the name, Louis de Niort de Lanoriae, see how that works, takes over the seigneury. And then by 1717, their son, Louis Lanoriae, inherits and sells it to his cousin, Jean-Baptiste Neveu, and who is the son of Denise Sylvestre. So the Sylvestre family is absolutely critical, and that is why there's a plaque to them here. So if this is your family, woohoo, these are your roots. In 1739, Jean-Baptiste Neveu purchases more land and creates the Lanoriae Seigneurie. Okay, and that is how it came to be. So I just love that. And that's a plaque you'll find, I believe, in the town square or near the town hall that was erected as the founders of the town, which they absolutely are. So the history of the town, or the parish of Saint-Joseph-de-Lanoriae, was founded in 1732, but it actually began to be developed, i.e. inhabited, only by 1831. So by 1845, the parish municipality called Lanoriae was created, but then it was canceled 2 years later, and then it became part of the Berthier County. By 1855, it was reestablished as Saint-Joseph-de-Lanoriae, and in the year 2000, Saint-Joseph-de-Lanoriae and the municipality of Lanoriae merge. Not too bad. 300 years, you get a name. That's how long. I mean, they hang on. And that cemetery obviously dates from the period when the church would have been built as well. So the buildings always tell the story. They tell us something about the people. Remember, I just said that the actual parish was started to be inhabited, truly inhabited by 1831. This building dates from Maison Hervieux, I should say, dates from 1835. So it was absolutely there at the beginning. The Hervieux family would purchase it in 1882, and it would remain in their family until 1956. So that is a very traditional, very Quebecois looking house as well. The next building, or actual, I don't want to call it a building, artifact, I would say, Le Clocher de l'Ancien Couvent. So this is the bell of the ancient, or the ancient convent. Both of these, by the way, are found along Route 138, so you can absolutely see it. This was built in 1874, and the bell served as a school bell for the convent, which actually educated young ladies at the time, as well as taking in orphans. The bell was then also used for the church during several times when the church had to be rebuilt because of the fires. All these churches with their fires. So it now sits there very well protected because it is definitely something from their past. So, as you can tell, Quebecers truly honor their past. Wow, check it out. I have arrived in wine heaven. There are 3 vignobles. I don't know. 3 nights I'll have to pick to go and taste all these wines. So we have Vignoble Lanoriae, Vignoble Caronne, and Vignoble au Pied des Noyers. I've listed the websites. I plan on visiting. I'm going to make that track. Definitely something amazing to check out. So you can begin to see the next town that we're looking at. It's called Lavaltrie, and it has a population of almost 14,000 people. Now, as we move, remember we're ending the journey, and so we're getting closer and closer to Montreal. So obviously the population, the suburbs, it's not considered a suburb, but it definitely is a place where people might work in Montreal and live in Lavaltrie, for example. Let's have a look a bit at what I call the legacy of Lavaltrie. In 1672, for his service in the Carignan Regiment, Jean Talon gave this land to the Lieutenant Séraphin Morgan, who was the Sire de Lavaltrie, hence the name. By 1699, his son, Pierre-Paul Morgan, inherits the seigneury. He is also a career soldier and would have fought on the plains of Abraham for the French, obviously. Just amazing connection there. Now, by 1766, Pierre-Paul Morgan, his son, would ultimately inherit the territory and expand it to include the township of Kildare. We won't be reviewing Kildare, but just in case you have people there. He would also be elected to the very first Parliament of Lower Canada in 1792. And then by 1810, Pierre-Paul's daughter, Suzanne Antoinette, would inherit the seigneury, and she would go on to marry Charles, actually she was married at the time, to Charles Gaspard Thériault de Lanoriae, and that would become part of the Lanoriae family. That's how this Lavaltrie became part of that. And then Charlotte Thériault de Lanoriae, one of their 3 daughters, this is really cool, would then go on to marry a man named Barthélemy Joliette, who would go on to found the town of Joliette. So it's all connected. I'm telling you, it's a great big old family connection in Quebec. The Catholic parish of Saint Antoine de Lavaltrie was founded in 1716, but the church records date from 1732, indicating that possibly the first church would have been built at the time, and that perhaps the baptism, marriages, and deaths would have been in another location. So there's a little bit of confusion there in my mind, at least. The church we see today was built in 1869. And the architect of that church, Victor Bourgault, was actually a native of Lavaltrie. Imagine being the son of this amazing place and then saying, I want to build a church. So that's pretty amazing. The cemetery dates back to 1868 and was probably used before the church was even finished building. The other cemeteries were opened in 1732 and they closed down in 1868. You can see the interior of it. It looks just like you're visiting Rome or Italy or something like, like one of those amazing French or Italian churches. It just looks magnificent. Absolutely want to see that. Well, if you're looking to honor women who have endured, I can think of no better place than visiting the home of Rosalie Cadron. Now, before I started this research, I had never heard of her, to be honest with you. So I am just in awe of the story. I read about it. I was like, oh my gosh. So obviously, the right part of your screen, Maison Rosalie Cadron, that's you are able to visit that. I've posted the link to it. But Rosalie Cadron was a woman who was born in Lavaltrie, and she married a man named Jean-Marie Jeté, with whom she had 11 children. Jean-Marie would die, leaving her a widow, and she would then move to Montreal and have to support her children. She began doing very charitable works, and I was basically a single mother. In her later years, she ended up becoming a nun, and she would help found the Congregation of the Sisters of Miséricorde, which is a very prestigious organization. She is now in line for canonization and was declared in 2013 by Pope Francis as venerable. So that's the succession. That's how you get to be a saint. So I'm just amazed. I can't wait to see this. I'm fascinated by this woman who carved her way and made a difference. And there are places in the world named after her. There's a place as far away as Winnipeg. There's a Villa Rosa in Winnipeg. There's a Rosalie Hall in the Bronx, and another one in Toronto, and Rosalie Manor. These are just amazing that this woman from this very small town would create such an impact and have such an impact on not only history, but also on the actual people that she helped. I'm very, very excited to be able to go here and truly, truly learn about this incredible woman. Now, doesn't this look just so pretty? It actually was once known as the Villa des Arabes, which is called Maple Villa. It was built in 1895 and served as the summer home, imagine having that as your summer home, of Lucien Benoit, who was a famous sculptor who was from Lavaltrie. There's just something about Lavaltrie, I think. It would remain in the family and as a private residence until 2003, when the city of Lavaltrie would purchase it, and is now a cultural center that you can visit. I'm of course including the website so you can plan a visit. So there's a museum and there's an art gallery in there, and information. It's just kind of got all kinds of interesting things. So definitely something to pursue on my journey. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be doing lunch or dinner in Lavaltrie, but never mind. I want this list. So we start off with La Victorienne, which of course is in an old Victorian home. It's got some really amazing, selections, everything from panini to pizzas to just really got that Quebec flair. Got to try it. Now, La Belle Provence is another poutine place that, if you need to try another poutine place, this is definitely one that it's probably second on my list in terms of where I would eat poutine. The first being in my native town of Drummondville, because that is where poutine was born. That's what they say, and I'm sticking to that story. Betty and Company, we talked about it before. That's your chicken and poutine, other chicken and poutine. I think they're mostly known for chicken. Brasserie Hopfenstark. I hope I said that right. Really local brewery. Got to try that out. I think they have some nibbles as well, so definitely checking that out. And of course, I've got to include Tim Hortons. Yes, they have a few of them here as well. And with that, we end episode 10 of Le Chemin du Roi. I can't wait. We're at the end. We're going to be finishing this journey soon enough on episode 11. Until then, au revoir.